Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we've got the article for update 1.26.1's common test dropped just now. I'm going to quickly go over it because we have got some pretty big news actually included in this article. We're going to have a new tech tree event, which is going to be interesting, and we are getting weather. What do I mean by that? Well, this is what I mean by that. We're getting a return of the Recon mode, which is the mode that Wargaming used to test maps and features on maps. And this time, they are going to be testing local weather. Well, not necessarily weather, but also weather and environmental events. So, for example, we're going to be getting rain on Westfield and Fisherman's Bay, fog on Outpost and Fjords, forest fire on Moravanka, and a sandstorm on Sand River. And not only are these events going to change the map, they're also going to have gameplay consequences. For example, fog will decrease your view range, but also increase your camera rating to any tanks trying to spot you within the fog. So you won't be able to spot out of the fog, but people won't be able to spot you in the fog. So that's going to be interesting. That could play an absolute nightmare, especially as that's going to be on Outpost and Fjords. Light tanks in the middle of the map could have an absolute whale of a time with that. But we don't quite know how strong it's going to be. But, for example, we have got some of the unique effects of the local weather listed here. So, rain is going to decrease your terrain resistance of a vehicle, so you will not go quicker, but you will... you not go slower, but you will be almost as if you're driving on boggy terrain the entire time, so you will struggle to get up to your top speed. And, interestingly, the rain is also going to decrease your possibility of a fire. So we've got fog affecting view range and camo. We've got rain affecting terrain resistance and fire chance. What about the other two? Well, forest fire is going to deal damage to you if you spend several seconds within the flames. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We don't quite know what the impact of the smoke is going to cause just yet, but here it says, forest fires are special. They're a combination of flames and smoke. Flames and smoke have different areas and affect the gameplay in partially different ways. However, it is highly likely that the smoke is going to affect view range. That would make sense. Maybe crew efficiency as well, almost as if you're, in smoke. That might be an interesting thing, but a really important thing to note here, the spotting range inside any weather event area is halved. So yes, it's looking like for all of these, rain, fog, forest fire, and sandstorm, your view range is going to be affected, and significantly, minus 50% on it. So this is going to be really interesting to test, for sure. I have got some images here. So, for example, this is what it's going to look like on Moravanka. This is in the field and the forest area. As you can see, the forest fire has kind of wiped out half the forest and then is continuing to burn. And as I said, if you're in these flames, you're going to take damage. So this is going to mess up this entire area for light tanks, but maybe make this entire area in the middle really interesting to play. Not quite sure. But this is Moravanka with the forest fire. Outpost with the fog affecting the kind of the river, lakey field area. Definitely going to be interesting for light tanks, this is. They're not going to be able to spot out of it, but they're also not going to be able to be spotted in it. So that's going to be definitely interesting. Sand River, we can see the sandstorm on the northern part of the map rolling over the dunes. That looks like it's going to be... Oh, it actually seems to be on the entire map, actually. My bad. This is going to be very interesting, especially if this is going to affect view range. Jesus, this is going to change the entire map. And Westfield, this is it with the rain. And I have a feeling that the rain is just going to turn the entire terrain on Westfield into effectively soft terrain, what is considered boggy terrain. So you might just be really, really slow. Your rotation, your tank rotation, yeah, really slow. So this is going to be interesting. But as I said, this is for the update 1.26.1 common test, which is now live. So go download it and test this out, then give Wargaming your opinions on this, Remember, this is not permanent. This is not coming necessarily technically to the random battle queue. You have to click a button to opt into these random dynamic events. You can just disable it and you don't have to play in the game modes if they come to the random queue. But for some people, it adds an area of variety, and personally, I quite like them, and I'm looking forward to testing these. I'm literally recording this video now, and then I'm going to go and play the common test and see how this plays. But Tech Tree Trade-In. This is going to be another new event, another new thing that they are currently testing, and this is going to be really quite interesting. It's basically going to allow you to have, for example, a tech tree which you don't play anymore. You can literally just trade it in for a whole new tech tree. However, it will cost. Wargaming aren't that nice. It's going to cost you gold, but that fee can be brought down to 0, so technically it can be free by using certain resources. I believe the resources that can be used are... Oh, here we go, we have it here. Free XP, Universal Fragments, National Fragments, and Bonds. We don't know the exact cost, for example, to trade in a full Tier 1 to Tier 10 tech tree, but I believe the cost is impacted by the amount of tanks you have to, say, for example, you're trading in a full tech tree for a tech tree which you only have the Tier 5 in, compared to a tech tree that you have the Tier 8 in. Obviously, if you've got the Tier 8, it's going to be cheaper. If you've got only the Tier 5, it's going to be more expensive. I believe that is how the cost is influenced, but this is going to be interesting. It could mean that you could basically get a Tier 10 tank for free if, for example, you've got the GWE 100. You haven't played it because you've completed all your artillery missions, you've sold it, you don't care for it anymore. But you've got the Tier 9 Object 430, and you want the Object 430U for Onslaught. This might mean you might be able to get the Object 430U for almost nothing. Because you just trade in the GWE 100 tech tree, and maybe pay 100,000 free XP, 70,000 free XP or something like that. I think this is really cool. There is a whole list of important details, some of which are actually interesting. For example, the field modification levels will be transferred to the new vehicles, so you'll keep field modifications. That's really interesting. For example, combat XP on that vehicle will be traded to a Tier 1, so you don't lose it. Yeah, this has got quite a lot of important details, but essentially, go and test it on the common test and see how it works. But this is a cool thing. I like it. I hope it doesn't cost too much and it's a bit of a rip-off, but we'll have to see. And then obviously the other returning event that I mentioned is Frontline. We are going to be getting a autumn edition of Frontline, most likely in October, middle to end of October to the start of November. That's most likely when it will run. But that was a very, very quick overview of the update 1.26.1 common test with local weather and recon mode, the tech tree trade-in event, and the return of Frontline. Do let me know down in the comments what you think about this common test. Are you excited to go test local weather? Are you hoping it comes to the game? Do let me know. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.